Good morning, guys. I have my coffee here, so I'm excited to be having coffee with you, and perfect first day for me to do coffee with Kat because I got like the biggest zit of my life on my face, so seems fitting to start video logging, you know, with that on my face. Got to start off strong. So I'm really excited. I have a variety of questions that you guys have submitted to me throughout the week, and this will be first of many coffee dates with Kat. I want to find any way I can to connect with you guys, and I feel like sometimes it's easier to answer questions via video rather than me trying to type everything out and explain it to you. So today's theme of my talk is going to be about nutrition. So a lot of the questions that I received had to do with questions about tracking macros, hitting protein intake, and whatnot. So one of the first questions that I received is to explain tracking macros versus calories. So the biggest difference, macronutrients, what macros is short for, macronutrients are the grams of protein, carbohydrate, fat in your food. So 1,000 calories of Coca-Cola is not the same nutritionally in the macronutrient breakdown as it would be for 1,000 calories worth of almonds. So the reason behind tracking macros specifically and breaking it down like that rather than just tracking the calories is to make sure you're getting enough or not too much of each one. Anyone who has started tracking macros, I generally find they go, oh wow, I'm not even coming close to hitting my protein recommendation or my goal, but I'm going way over on carbohydrates or fats. And I don't want you to be afraid of carbs. You definitely need carbs to survive. You need it for your brain to be able to function and your body to be able to function. But it's important to make sure you're getting the correct amounts of each one so that you can hit your goals and so your body can work the way that you want it to. The question I received is, how do you do clean eating without becoming a short order cook and making lots of different meals? So that's kind of what I ran into. I'm a wife and I'm a mom, so my husband, who is very slender and doesn't necessarily need to watch his weight, when I first was getting hardcore and eating really clean, I walked into the kitchen and I found him hiding behind the refrigerator eating whipped cream on cookies. Like, oh my gosh, the house is so ridden of unhealthy food that he felt like he had to hide it. So now what I do is I try to make meals that can become multiple meals. So for example, on taco night, I will make my turkey taco meat recipe that's in the KGK Fit book. I will make that, and then my husband will have that in hard taco shells or in a burrito with cheese and all the fixings, and I'll generally have that as a taco salad, or I'll use it in romaine cups. Or on the night where I'm having zoodles with meat sauce, I'll just also boil a pot of pasta. So I don't necessarily make an entirely different meal for him or an entirely different meal for myself, but what I'll do is make the protein and then add different carb options for him, or just lose the bun on a burger for myself. But if you have extremely picky eaters that are going, I'm not even going to eat that turkey taco meat, I don't want it, then prep is the most important thing you can do for yourself. So if you twice a week prep, you know, all of your dinners or all of your lunches where you're running into those issues, then when it comes down to making dinner for yourself, it's already taken care of and all you have to do is worry about your family. So I know going from family to family, everybody's gonna have their different cravings or different things that they want. So if you can identify the foods that your family are gearing towards, like say your family loves to eat pizza, then find a way to make that food item closer in line with your goals. So instead of making a thick crust pizza with pepperoni and 2 cups of cheese, make it a thin crust pizza, lower the cheese a little bit, and add roasted veggies or something as your topping. So from family to family, it will vary because everybody has different tastes and different things. So don't feel stuck having to follow exactly what's in, if you're in the Fit Club, exactly what's in the food guide, or having to only eat the certain clean recipes that you've found. You can always look at a recipe and kind of make changes to it. So for example, when I make lasagna, instead of putting the 2 full containers of ricotta in it, I maybe put 1 and increase my veggies even more. So when I make my beef for meat sauce, I will saute the beef, strain out some of the fat, and then continue making my sauce. So find little switches in the recipes that you love and make them into healthier options. And as you learn about clean eating, you'll find that, oh, well, instead of in this baking recipe that calls for a cup of vegetable oil, you can actually use a cup of Greek yogurt instead and in place and swap it, and it'll be delicious and perfect. So you don't necessarily have to throw out all of your family recipes, but start looking at those recipes and find the ways that you can make them healthier. Another question that I received was hitting protein intake. How can you get enough protein without feeling like a caveman and eating meat all day? So one way that you can do that is finding other sources of protein that aren't just meat. So for example, beans, nuts, and certain vegetables like broccoli or spinach contain protein in them. So if you are having trouble meeting that protein intake, I happen to love roasted broccoli with my breakfast in the morning. I'll roast it the day ahead of time, and then I'll just reheat it quickly in the oven. And I'll have that with my scrambled eggs and turkey bacon, and that gives me an extra like 4 grams of protein for that serving of broccoli. So just find little add-ons. Edamame is a great source of protein. You can add that into salads. Nut butters, albeit they are high in fat, you can also add a little bit of protein to your meals that way. And I also highly recommend finding a protein powder that you like. Each person has different things they do or don't like about proteins. I personally really like About Time. I like their vanilla protein. I tend to stick with vanilla flavored, so then I can kind of like change it up in the recipes that I use, and I find that it's a little bit more versatile. But if you try to get protein at each meal and snack, I think that it's a little bit easier to manage some of those higher protein recommendations by getting it little by little throughout the day, rather than trying to sit down for 3 or 4 big square meals. Just have it in little meals throughout the day.